This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Amazon One Medical presents Painful Thoughts.
I've been on hold to make a doctor's appointment for 23 minutes now. The automated voice has told me 47 times that my call is very important to them. I'm starting to think that they don't think my call is important at all.
With Amazon One Medical 24/7 virtual care, you'll get help fast without having to remain on the line to make an appointment. Amazon One Medical. Healthcare just got less painful.
Welcome to the Covert Narcissism Podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. If I tell them the truth about even the simple things, I'll be punished. If I don't, I'll be accused of dishonesty. If I try to protect my child, I'm dividing the family. And if I don't, I'm failing as a parent. Welcome to life with a covert narcissist, where every road leads to guilt, and peace is always just out of reach. In today's episode, we're diving into this no-win situation, this maddening dynamic where nothing you ever do is right. And this is because you're dealing with a covert narcissist. If you speak up, you're too emotional. If you stay quiet, you're withholding. If you set a boundary, you're being mean, and if you don't, you're enabling. It's a twisted maze where every path leads to blame. Blame that's directed at you. You're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to manage their moods, their triggers, their fragile ego, and no matter how careful you are, you still end up the villain. This is not a misunderstanding. This is manipulation. This is gaslighting. This is control. And this is covert narcissistic abuse. Now, today, I want to do something a little bit different. We are stepping into a choose-your-own-adventure story. Do you remember those books? I used to love them when I was a kid, where you're reading this story about this, character within the book, and then they reach a point where they have to make a decision. Do I go up into the cave and explore the cave by myself, or do I run back and get help and get supplies or get a team, and then we go? And so you have this choice to make. And if you choose option 1, then turn to page 81. And if you choose option 2, then turn to page 103. So I used to love those kind of books. And no matter how many times you read it, the adventure always changed because there was always a different path you could try. So you could read it 50 times and end up with 50 different stories. Well, today we're going to talk about that. But this choose-your-own-adventure story is the maddening game with a covert narcissist. Because that's what you're living. It's a never-ending series of impossible choices, where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So buckle up. This episode contains some seriousness and some humor, because sometimes the only way to expose the absurdity of the emotional abuse is to say it out loud and to shine a light on just how crazy-making this is. Welcome back to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we lay out all the impossible choices in this maze of emotional abuse, where every turn somehow ends up being your fault. Let the chaos begin. Story number 1. It's a Wednesday afternoon. You're standing in the kitchen, reheating your coffee for the 3rd time. I don't know if you guys are guilty of that. I definitely am. I can reheat my coffee for hours. I only drink 1 cup, but I still going to reheat it 4 times. The dishwasher's half unloaded. Your inbox is a war zone. And the dog is barking at absolutely nothing yet again. Well, your partner is due home soon. And you're already bracing for that shift. You see, right now, the house feels safe and it feels warm and I feel okay. But you know that as soon as they walk in the door, the air changes. The mood shifts. There's now a subtle tension. There's this need in you to manage their mood. And there's a mental scramble to remember if you forgot anything that might set them off. You try again to make everything perfect, knowing that you will fail yet again. You glance at the clock. There's just enough time to throw something together for dinner and pretend like the day was calm and productive. But then the phone rings. It's the school. You see, your child, your sweet, spicy, impulsive little human, was caught sneaking candy from the teacher's desk. Jolly Ranchers, a whole handful of Jolly Ranchers. Well, you feel this immediate swirl of emotions, okay? Embarrassment, concern, of course, even some amusement because, honestly, Jolly Ranchers, okay? And then dread. Now what do I do? Now do I, options. You have to decide. Do I tell my partner, their mom or their dad, or do I keep it to myself and handle privately? So we've got option one, tell your covert narcissistic partner what happened. This is jump to scene 1A. Or number two, keep it to yourself and handle it privately with your child and the teacher. Jump to scene 1B. So here's scene 1A, telling the covert narcissist. So they've come in, you've greeted them, you're monitoring their mood. Are we good? Are we not good? But your heart's pumping now because now you know about this phone call. And so you put in your best, calm and united appearance and you take a deep breath, you kind of brace yourself and you gently explain what happened. And you even explain, hey, the teacher handled it really well. I think that, I can talk to them, talk to our child and it'll be okay. It wasn't malicious. This was just impulsive, just a kid being a kid. But you can feel the blood pressure rising in your partner. And then they turn and look at you and say, wow, so this is the kind of kid we're raising? You've clearly been spoiling them when I'm not around. If you could just be a little more firm in your parenting, then this wouldn't be going on. Now our child is damaged. Well, now you're the problem. Your parenting is the problem. Your influence is the problem. Your kid is damaged. The family is now falling apart, and it's all because you didn't make your child respect authority enough? So they go on this rant and then they sulk, they withdraw. You get the silent treatment for the whole evening, maybe even for days. Well, later that night, your child whispers to you, why does dad or why does mom hate me? And you find yourself saying something like, oh, they don't. They're just tired. Well, you don't believe that. And deep down, you know your child doesn't believe it either. So option two, scene 1B, is you handle it yourself. Okay, your child comes home, you get some quiet time alone with them, and you talk to them. You're using your empathy and compassion for them, but you're also holding them with some accountability. You discuss consequences. You talk about honesty. You talk about making this right with their teacher. And you talk about how to make sure that we're making good decisions going forward. They get it. They're remorseful and apologetic. They want to go make it right. You guys hug it out and you feel like a competent parent. You feel like you really connected with your child and this was a learning moment for them. Until later that week, your partner overhears your child talking about, that time I got caught stealing candy. Well, now you're going to hear about it. Now your partner comes to you and says, you kept this from me? Wow. So I'm just the outsider now and you just decided I didn't need to know? You're deliberately shutting me out of parenting decisions. Well, now the crime is no longer about Jolly Ranchers. It's about betrayal. Yours. Your betrayal. Your failure to inform. Your lack of respect for them. Your supposed secrecy. So you apologize just to get through dinner. But your child watches you shrink. And your child learns that telling the truth isn't safe and gets people hurt. Let's go to story number 2. It's Saturday morning. You wake up casually, you've slept really good, the sun is coming through the windows just right, your heart actually even feels a little bit happy. I've got a day off, I don't have to do anything, I don't have any accountability today, no plans in place. You get a text from your best friend who you haven't seen in a while. And your best friend just says, hey, how about lunch today? My treat, just us like old times. And your heart kind of lifts, your spirit jumps. You haven't laughed, really laughed in weeks, and you really could use this time with your friend. You imagine sipping something cold on a patio with no eggshells, no tension, and no, decoding the silent treatment. But of course, you live with a covert narcissist. So the dread is already there because now you got to decide, can I manage to do this lunch or not? So here's your options. Option number 1 is you tell your partner about the lunch and you ask if they mind. Jump to scene 2A. Or option 2 is you tell them you have an errand to run and you sneak in this lunch. And then you jump to scene 2B. So, scene 2A, asking for permission, which, okay, we shouldn't have to ask for permission, by the way, to go to lunch with a friend. But you casually mention the plan and say, it's just spontaneous and I'd love to just go see her and we'll just grab a quick bite. It won't be very long. And your partner responds, sure, go ahead, have fun. Well, okay, that was easy. Maybe this is going to be okay. So you get a little excited. You get dressed, you do your hair, you're feeling happy. And then your partner comes in. You know, I didn't want to say anything earlier, but I'm feeling really disconnected lately. It's just hard to watch you prioritize other people and not me. Well, now everything inside of you shifts. Now, what do you feel? You feel guilt, shame. You feel this awful pull to cancel lunch just to prove your loyalty to your partner yet again. Now, maybe you still go, but you're not as happy now. Now you go and instead you're feeling distracted. You're feeling dread. You're feeling like, oh, maybe I should have stayed. I wonder if they're mad. I wonder if what they're doing. You even leave halfway through and just cut it short. Go, hey, I need to go home and check in. Your friend hugs you and they say, hey, you deserve better. You pretend that she means like a better dessert, but you know that's not true. Your friend sees this. Scene 2B is the sneaky lunch. You dress like you're running to Target and you say, hey, back soon, and you bolt out the door. Lunch is perfect. You have a great time. You laugh so hard you snort. For a brief moment, you remember who you are, or at least who you used to be. And you remember what it's like to be seen, to be heard, to matter. You come home feeling uplifted. You're feeling kind of re-energized. This was good for your spirit. But then you get home and your partner is kind of sulking. You get some, those vibes that say, ooh, something's up here, something's wrong. And then they say, I was hoping that we could go for a walk together. I waited like all afternoon. It's fine though. It's a little too late now, so just whatever. But it's not fine. You get this pouty, quiet victim mode. You get the vague sighs and the huffs. You're punished, not directly, but with distance, coldness, disappointment, all of these things that you're expected to fix. Because now you got to go back into fix it mode and prove your loyalty to them. Now you feel like, let's take it. You feel like you cheated when you just had lunch with your friend, but you feel like you broke your loyalty to your partner. You feel like maybe you should have just stayed home. I knew this would happen.
Amazon One Medical presents Painful Thoughts.
I've been on hold to make a doctor's appointment for 23 minutes now. The automated voice has told me 47 times that my call is very important to them. I'm starting to think that they don't think my call is important at all.
With Amazon One Medical 24/7 virtual care, you'll get help fast without having to remain on the line to make an appointment. Amazon One Medical. Healthcare just got less painful.
NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit when other lenders say no. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partners. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
Should have just stayed here. It's just not worth this price that I have to pay, so next time I'll just cancel. You begin to forget what freedom feels like. Let's go to story 3. It's bedtime. You're tucking your child in like you do every night. It's your normal bedtime stuff, but your child quietly speaks up. And your child says, hey, I really don't like being around dad or mom. I don't like being around them because I just feel nervous all the time. Well, you catch your breath a little bit because they're putting to words what you've been seeing, what you've been living, what you've been feeling, but you've not been willing to voice. And now they're voicing it. They're voicing what no one else sees and no one else understands. Well, now you have to decide. Option 1, do you validate their experience and offer comfort? That's jump to scene 3A. Option 2 is, do you tell them, hey, don't talk like that? Because you know deep inside that it's going to cause more problems. Jump to scene 3B. So scene 3A, you validate them. You sit with your child. You hug them and you say, hey, that makes sense. I get it. I could see how you would feel that way. I've felt that way sometimes too. You're not alone here. Tell me more about how you're feeling, or how can we find ways to make you feel better or help you to feel better? They cry, you hold them. This is building trust between you and your child. You're giving them safety, emotional safety that they so desperately need. They even sleep better that night because they got some of this off their chest. But a week later, your child slips and repeats something from that conversation. And when it happens, your heart jumps because you know what's coming. Behind closed doors, you get, so now you're turning them against me? This is parental alienation, you know. You always do this. You make me the villain in their life. You're the reason I don't have a good relationship with them. And you're accused of poisoning the family. You end up apologizing just to keep the peace. And your kid, who's listening outside the door, your kid now believes that telling the truth causes harm, and they stop telling you the truth. The child's feelings are erased, and your trust with them is jeopardized. Scene 3B is you shut it down with your child. You panic. When they speak up, you can feel the anxiety rise. Your own fight or flight is kicked in because now this is a threat. Now it's out in the open. So you tell them, hey, don't say things like that. They love you. I don't know why you feel that way. You can't always trust your feelings, and you really shouldn't talk that way. Your child nods. Their eyes dim just a little as once again they stuff their feelings back inside. This is familiar to them. They've learned how to hide their discomfort, and they do it again. But later, you catch them drawing a picture of the family with themselves scribbled out. You see, your child feels invisible, unseen, unheard. They feel like they don't matter, that they don't belong. So while you've managed to kind of keep the peace and teach them to keep the peace one more time with this covert narcissistic person in your life, your child is shrinking and disappearing right in front of your eyes. Yet again, this is another impossible decision. You see, what's missing in this entire choose your own adventure is a third option. Have you ever read those choose your own adventure books where you're reading and there's option 1 and 2 and you're going, no, I want option 3. I see a better way here. There's a third choice that I like better, and you kind of want to write your own story. Well, what option 3 is that you get to sit down with your partner and have a calm, supportive, emotionally safe conversation, one where they lean in with care and you lean in with care and everybody feels safe. Egos get put aside. Understanding takes the place of all the blame throwing. That's option 3. This is what it would sound like after that school call if you had an option 3. Hey, kids make mistakes. I'm really glad that you handled this so thoughtfully. It sounds like you and the teacher had a good conversation about it, and I'm really glad our child has that teamwork in you guys. I'm so glad that our child felt safe enough to talk to you, but I really appreciate you keeping me in the loop. Maybe let's go talk to them together, not to shame them, but to help them learn and to approach this as a team. And you feel safe. You feel safe. Your partner feels safe, and your child feels safe. How about after that lunch with a friend? Option 3 would sound like, hey, that's great that you got this time for yourself today. You deserve it. You've been working really hard, so I'm really glad you took a break. I know how much you miss that connection in your life, so I'm really happy you got it this time. Thanks for letting me know. When your child shares that they feel nervous around them, option 3 is you get to talk to your partner about this. You get to share these feelings and not carry them alone. And what do you get in response? You hear things like, hey, I really want to understand why they feel that way. Yes, it's really hard to hear, but this is important. This is where emotional growth happens for all of us. I never want our child to feel unsafe with me. So let's figure this out. But thank you so much for being a safe place for them to share. And thanks for keeping me in this loop. This is the option 3 that you don't get. You want it so badly, but in your book, it doesn't exist. Not when you're with a covert narcissist. Because real cooperation requires putting that ego down and being vulnerable. Real conversation demands humility. And real repair, yeah, that requires accountability. And you just won't get it. Covert narcissists just can't give these things. So instead of warmth and partnership, you get blame that's dressed as hurt feelings. You get criticism that's disguised as concern. You get stonewalling that looks like reflection. and you get a silent treatment instead of honest feedback. You're left spinning in circles, trying to decode their reactions, avoid landmines, and minimize the damage. I've spent so many years trying to minimize that damage. You never get a true partner. You get a performance. And maybe the most painful part is that you're not just grieving the arguments that you have. Yes, you grieve those. But you're also grieving the conversations that you never get to have. You're missing the understanding that never comes. And that causes a hole inside of you. It's that softness that's never offered. It's that teamwork that it only lives in your imagination. You can't ever actually get there. And this is heartbreaking. At some point, you realize that this isn't a relationship. It's a trap. It's a rigged game. It's a frustrating choose-your-own-adventure book. No matter which direction you turn, you lose. If you speak up, you're too emotional, too critical. You're told you always make things worse. You're overreacting again. But if you stay quiet, you're hiding things. You're dishonest. You're the reason they feel so disconnected. I can't even trust you. You don't even talk to me anymore. If you set a boundary, you're accused of being cold, controlling, and selfish. You're so rigid. Everything has to be on your terms. But if you let something go, then they say that you're inconsistent or don't care. Wow, I guess it didn't matter to you after all. If you ask for help, you're needy. If you handle things on your own, you're shutting them out. If you express hurt, you're guilt-tripping them. If you don't, then you're being passive-aggressive and withholding. You can't laugh too loud around others. They'll tell you seem happier when I'm not there. But if you're quiet, they're going to ask you, why are you always in a mood? Did I do something wrong? Everything is always your fault. No matter what you do or don't do, you're the villain in a story you didn't write. Now, the problem isn't only their reactions. It's also the reality of what you're living and the price that you and your kids are paying. That's the problem. If you try to protect your child, you're accused of poisoning them. But if you don't, then you carry the weight of watching your child shrink because you didn't step in. If you prioritize yourself, you're selfish. But if you don't, you disappear. No matter which path you choose, it's the wrong one. The emotional toll of living with a covert narcissist, it's not just confusion. It's erasing you and your kids. You're not in a relationship. You're surviving inside this carefully constructed illusion, a maze with ever-shifting rules where no matter what you do, it's the wrong thing. You never know what version of them you're going to get, but no matter how carefully you walk on eggshells, those shells are still going to break, and it's still going to be your fault. And what makes this even more maddening is the world doesn't see it. They see this helpful, charming, devoted partner, not the one who erodes you and the kids from the inside out while smiling for the camera. After a while, you stop trusting your gut. Yes, you lose the ability to tell what's real. You try harder, but the harder you try, the smaller you shrink. But the truth is, there is no version of you that will ever be right in their eyes. Listen to this. There is no version of you that will ever be right in their eyes. No matter what you do, everything's still going to be a problem and it's still going to be your fault. This is because the abusive behavior is not about you. It never was about you. It's about them. And when you finally realize that, that's when you stop trying so hard to fix them or to fix the relationship and instead start working on your healing. That's how you begin to break free from this abusive behavior. That is the path that I wish for all of you. Until next time, take care of you. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism podcast, where we break apart the insidious nature of these incredibly destructive and frustrating to the ends of the earth individuals. If you are struggling with the isolation, overwhelming self-doubt, and obsessive ruminating, you are not alone. I offer live, personalized coaching that is specific for you. This coaching can be individual or group sessions, or a combination of the two. You can find all the information at covertnarcissism.com, Reach out anytime. My email address is Renee, R-E-N-E-E, at covertnarcissism.com. And remember, I am not a therapist and you are not a victim, but I am a coach and you are a survivor. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a health care provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.
Amazon One Medical presents Painful Thoughts.
I've been on hold to make a doctor's appointment for 23 minutes now. The automated voice has told me 47 times that my call is very important to them. I'm starting to think that they don't think my call is important at all.
With Amazon One Medical 24/7 virtual care, you'll get help fast without having to remain on the line to make an appointment. Amazon One Medical. Healthcare just got less painful.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
When we started writing our thoughts down on paper, it opened up endless possibilities. Ideas could grow beyond the borders of the mind, and it changed the world. Somewhere along the way, we lost touch with paper, distracted by devices made for every purpose except for thinking and focus. On edge, waiting for the next notification. But what if new technology didn't pull us away from paper, but brought us closer to it? Listen. That's not paper. It's the sound of the new Remarkable Paper Pro, rewriting the future. A paper tablet with a true color ink display, gentle reading light, and unheard of tactility. With digital features for taking notes, thinking, and organizing, without any distractions. Paper is about to change the world again. Get your paper tablet at remarkable.com today.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams July Summer Sale and get 30% off paints and stains July 18th through the 28th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.